Okay, so we are in Aurora right now, and I'm actually within a project. So just to kind of level set and make sure that we're all on the same page, a project in Aurora is defined as a unique address. So in this case, you can see our address is 2001 Viateca in San Clemente, California. Within this project, I can create as many designs as I want. And so when I was selling solar a few years ago, I would create multiple designs to share with my homeowner or my prospective client. From there, obviously, you're going to select one to move forward with. So let's just kind of walk through what Aurora can provide in terms of creating better efficiencies for that post-sale process. So the first thing that I want to call out is Aurora's connection and partnership with EagleView. I'm sure most folks here are familiar with EagleView. They are cutting edge imagery technology, and they provide incredibly accurate three-dimensional models of homes. And so one of the things that Aurora and EagleView provide are what is called EagleView powered models. Essentially, these are considered the most accurate type of three-dimensional models that you can see on the market, and it's going to reduce the need to take a lot of measurements on site. So the whole point is to leverage these EagleView powered models once you've gotten to this post-sale process, which can help to increase efficiency around your site surveys. It's going to reduce the need to get up on the roof and take a bunch of different measurements, and ultimately save you time, money, and reduce the risk of injury and things like that. So in order to do that, we're in a project right now, and the way that someone's going to do this in Aurora is from within this project. I'm going to come down to this section right here. It says Site Model Service. All I'll do is I will click this button right here, Create New Request. And this is going to give me two options to get what we call these expert models. One is from Aurora, but the one that I want to focus on is this EagleView powered model right here. So a user will go ahead and select this. The turnaround time for this is 3 hours or less. So if you go ahead and request one of these EagleView powered models, it will be returned to you, and it will be populated within this project within that 3-hour time window. One thing to note is when you receive one of these models, it's only going to be the three-dimensional site model. It's not going to include any panels or inverters or any actual PV system equipment. So that's going to be up to the designer to go ahead, once you have that model, to go in and place those panels and basically recreate whatever system was sold to the customer right there. So you'll go ahead and click Send Request. And for illustrative purposes, we'll just pretend that I clicked that button. We waited those 3 hours, and then boom, we went ahead and we got our EagleView powered model. Now, the other thing to call out here is whoever does request this EagleView powered model will be notified via email and in-app when that model is ready and complete. You'll also have the ability to review it. If there's anything that looks off, if there are any changes that need to be applied, you can always submit that feedback and re-request it. But essentially, once you go ahead and pop that model open, I'm opening this up in design mode. And just like that, we can see this model here. Now, what I've already done, just for time's sake, is I went in and I placed panels that include microinverters on this home right here. But if we want to take a closer look at this, I'm going to pop in 3D, and you can just see how accurate and how detailed this structure is. Now, this is a pretty complicated home, I would say, too. There's lots of different roof features. There's lots of different hips and valleys. There's 90-degree angles. We've got different dormers, multiple chimneys, things like that. So that's where, trusting a service like EagleView is a huge value add. And you can really just rest assured that you're getting one of the most accurate and precise types of 3D modeling here. A couple of things I'll call out within this model here. First thing, you'll notice all these little purple or pink pathways. These are the fire pathways. So these are ensuring that the system that we are sizing is designed to code, so that it's following the fire pathways. This home is in California. California has pretty strict fire codes. There's a lot of nuances with it, but one of the most important things that a designer can do is place those fire pathways first, because that's going to kind of dictate how big of a system that you can design. The other thing to call out here too, you can see all of these measurements, and it's a little busy on the screen right now, but this is where EagleView powered models come in to provide a lot of value. That all of these measurements that you're seeing along this roof are going to be pretty much exactly what you would get if you were to send someone up on the roof. And so that's where you're experiencing the value. That's where you're saving time. That's where you're, able to maybe squeeze in an extra site visit or two per day. Because what you get here, you can trust is as close to the empirical measurements that you would be getting if you were to go on the roof anyways. The other thing that I want to call out here is, once we have our three-dimensional model from EagleView, once we go ahead and place our panels, and these panels actually also include a microinverter. I can see that if I zoom in really close, you can see that little DC AC symbol. That means that there's a microinverter associated with each panel. We also allow for string inverters, in which case you would see like a stringing configuration. But for this system that we're seeing right here, it does include a microinverter. But one of the other great post-sale processes or features that Aurora offers is a connection with particular racking partner apps that we have. So I want to show you what that looks like as well, because it's very helpful to be able to basically determine, okay, what type of rails, what type of clamps, what types of bolts, what types of penetrations are we going to be utilizing for this actual install. So to do that, from within design mode, once I've got my three-dimensional design, once I have my fire pathways, once I've placed my modules and I've selected my inverter, I'm going to come over to my main toolbar here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the System tab. I'll hover over the Components option, and the very last thing listed here is racking. So I'm going to go ahead and select racking. And one thing to note, in order to be able to access one of these racking partner apps, you just need to configure the integration. It's very simple. I can talk about that later if anyone has any questions on it. But basically, you just need to connect both of the platforms. Once that's done, you'll see all of those options listed here. Right now, we have 4 racking partner apps: EcoFasten, IronRidge, Pegasus, and Sunmoto. This list will be growing, so stay tuned for additional partners coming soon. But for this example, let's say I want to use IronRidge. So I'll go ahead and click Save and open the racking page. What this is going to do is basically take all of the design information that I've created from Aurora, and it's going to put it over into the IronRidge portal. And this is where I'm going to be able to update project configuration details. I'll be able to generate a bill of materials, and then I can submit all of that information back to Aurora. So just to kind of scan this right now, you can see here it's automatically pulling in certain project information. So it knows the address, it knows the type of panel that I'm using, it knows the rail platform, and so on. We can see here that it's got some building and roof information. And then what it's doing is it's breaking down the different roof planes. We've got 3 roof planes, A, B, and C. It knows the height of the roof, it knows the roof slope, it knows the rafter spacing, but if I needed to adjust any of these things, you can see that I'm able to manually adjust that should I need to. If we keep moving down, it's even pulling in the actual array formulations here, and so you can see 2 rows, 6 columns, and it's giving me a nice overview of what each one of those arrays is going to look like. Next up, you can see that it allows me to choose between different types of rails. So you can see we've got the XR10 right here. And one of the things that I like to call out whenever I'm showing this is right now when it's on the XR10, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we've got just a kind of a high-level system summary breakdown. And so with the XR10, you can see, for example, the dollars per watt is 264. If I change this to the XR100, now that number has gone up a little bit. So now it's at 297. So you can see, with a more expensive product, it's going to dynamically update right there. So this allows you to select which type of product that you want to use from IronRidge in this case. Keep scrolling down, and then we can see some more information about the different roof segments and what the rails that are going to be required, the attachments, the clamps, things of that nature. Once we're done reviewing all of this, we can go ahead and generate that bill of materials. Once again, based on what you've selected on the previous page, it's going to go ahead and basically generate, the rails and splices, the clamps and grounding. It knows exactly the quantities that you're going to need. It knows the MSRP of those, and it's going to go ahead and roll those up into a total. and be able to generate a final bill of materials here. So we can see that for this one, it's going to go ahead and cost us $37.62.07. Once we're done with this, we'll go ahead and click this Submit to Aurora and Close Project. What that's going to do is basically say, hey, your racking info has been submitted. And when we want to return to our design, we'll just click this button here in the upper right-hand corner, Return to Design. That's going to take us back to Aurora. There's one more check, and I'll say Return to Design. Boom, just like that, we're back to our design here. What I can now do is I'm going to back out of design mode. And from our project dashboard, I'm going to go ahead and click this button right here, Documents, because that's where the bill of materials has just been sent to. So I'll click Documents. And if I scroll down, let me refresh this really quickly. Oh, you know what? Actually, let me jump back into the design. Here it is. My apologies. We want to go to our bill of materials right here. So I can go ahead and generate that bill of materials. And once I pop that thing open, just like that, you can see we've got a nice clean list that includes our microinverter, our modules, and then all of the racking components that are included from Iron Ridge, including the rails, the clamps, the ground lugs, the flashing, the square bolt bonding, all of that stuff, all included, in addition to the actual system specs, including the module and microinverter. It's a really, really helpful add in terms of just being able to unify everything in one fell motion there. Now, the other part of Aurora in terms of our plans or our post-sale process is submitting that plan set. So once we have this design completed, we feel good about our fire pathways, our 3D model, our modules, our inverters, and all of the additional components. One of the next step is going to be to actually submit that plan set form. And so where we do that is back from our project dashboard. And at the bottom, you can see we've got this option here for plan set. And this is where you can go ahead and initiate a plan set intake form. Now, I've already started one here, and for time's sake, I've already filled in a lot of the details. But essentially, when you create a plan set in Aurora, it's really just four main intake pages that you need to fill out. You can see them here on the left: project, site model, system design, images and documents, and then you're going to need to review everything before you submit it. A couple of details in terms of Aurora's plan set service. We provide these plan sets within 24 hours, within like a normal business hour window. So we operate on the West Coast, we're Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you were to submit something on Tuesday at 10 a.m., you should expect to receive a completed plan set on Wednesday by 10 a.m. But essentially the process here is once you have filled in all of your design details, you're going to go in and just make sure that all the information in here looks good. And this is where, like I mentioned earlier, when you're conducting the site survey, it's really important to make sure that you're gathering the right information and to kind of create an efficient flow in terms of the types of parameters that you need to capture. So starting at a high level here, project, this is just high level project information. Some of this stuff is going to be automatically pulled in, including just the address, customer information, contractor information. This is preloaded in my account. I was able to set this up. One of the things that Aurora does provide, though, and I think it's easy to gloss over them, but I find them to be very important. We have a lot of open-ended note fields here. If you are working in particular AHJs that have strict requirements, or maybe things that wouldn't be known to your average layperson, it's really important to be able to provide our team with information about that AHJ. If there's anything that is worth calling out, are there HOA restrictions? Are there AHJ requirements? Do the placards need to be placed on page 3, not page 4? Things like that. That's really, really helpful information. And when in doubt, share as much information as possible. It will lead to the smoothest type of process going forward. So just to kind of quickly jump through here, we'll go from project to site model. This is where we're going to need to supply some information about the actual mounting planes where we've placed our panels. So you can see here we have a preview of our system. It's actually gone ahead and labeled all of the different mounting planes. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For each one of those, I need to input some required information, including roof type, framing type, rafter size, rafter spacing. And once again, when in doubt, if there's information to share about the mounting plane, go ahead and use these open-ended note fields right here. So you'll see we have this for all of those different mounting planes, and I'll just keep scrolling down. And like I said, I already filled these in just for time's sake. And then last but not least, you can see we've got some information here about racking. Go ahead and fill this in as well. And if there are any additional notes about racking, go ahead and provide those. Up next, we will get to system design. And this is probably the most technical part of the plan set intake form here. This is going to require a lot of information about the electrical properties of the home. So one thing to call out here, you'll notice that required fields are denoted with this little asterisk right here, but there are a number of fields that are in here that are not required. When in doubt, provide as much information as possible. It will lead to the smoothest process, and it will hopefully reduce the need for like kickbacks and more information. And so this is where one of the things, whenever I'm working with some of our customers, I say, hey, take this intake form and turn it into a checklist or something along those lines. When you have boots on the ground who are conducting the site surveys, they should be basically capturing all of these individual details, because it will make the intake form process within Aurora that much smoother. So you can see here, it wants to basically capture the main service panel location, the bus rating, the breaker rating. We've got points of interconnection, methods of interconnection, service type, utility meter number, all that type of fun stuff. In addition, you'll see these 3 toggles right here, which are very, very important to consider. If this home is going to require a main service panel upgrade, you'll turn that toggle on and a couple of new required fields will show up. Same thing with a main breaker D rate, if that's required. And then the last one to call out here is the existing PV system. If this home already has a PV system and you're just adding to it, it's really important to provide all of those details in terms of how big is the system, where is it located, what type of equipment was used, things of that nature. Additionally, if your system includes battery storage, you're going to go ahead and turn on this toggle down here for energy storage system, or ESS. Once again, that will just basically open up a number of additional fields. You'll select the battery model, how many, method of interconnection, point of interconnection, so on and so forth. And you will notice that for batteries, it is required to provide detailed notes about the equipment configuration as well too. Once again, when in doubt, provide as much information to our team as possible. Once we're done with this page, then we'll move on to the final intake form page here, which is where you'll upload images and documents. At a bare minimum, Aurora and our plan set team is going to need certain images. And what you can see here is we've got the main service panel. We have a photo of the main service panel label. We have a photo of the balance of system, or BOS, equipment location. We've got a clear photo of the meter. We've got a clear photo of the roof, or any of the roof faces that are going to be containing panels, as well as rafter spacing. And as a nice little tip, I would say, if you click on this little link right here, it says see required photos, it's going to show you examples of what we're going to need. So if you're ever curious or like, what do I need to capture when we're on site? This is always a handy little reminder right here too. But this is where I always tell folks, when in doubt, like, gather as much information as possible from your site surveys, take as many photos as possible, because it's going to help to speed up your processes once you're in the Aurora app submitting this plan set intake form. Now, in addition to photos here, the other thing that you can also upload are just additional files. So you'll see here supported file types: PDF, JPEG, PNG, GIF, web, all these types of things. And a good example of this is if you happen to have, maybe it's a brand new constructed home, and you have a copy of the structural plan, or like the roof plans, or some blueprints of the home, go ahead and upload those too. If there's been a recent addition on the home, if there's an existing PV system on the home and you have a copy of a plan set that was already approved by an AHJ, you can upload that as a document as well. When in doubt, provide our team with as much information as possible. So in addition to images, you can also provide detailed files here too. Last but not least, once you're done, you're going to go ahead and get to this review and submit tab. Now, what I always tell folks, if you're like me, sometimes you're like, oh, I already spent all that time inputting all this information. Everything looks good. Take a beat, take a breath, give yourself 2 minutes just to read through this and review everything. Because once you click this request plan set button here in the upper right-hand corner, that design and that intake form will be locked down while our team is working on it. So you want to make sure that everything looks good, because once you do request that plan set, it's going to be in a locked state. Now, if you do realize after the fact that, oh shoot, I forgot something, you can always reach out to our plan set team. You can reach them at permitting@aurorasolar.com. But I always recommend, hey, just take 2 minutes and make sure that everything looks good here, and then you'll go ahead and request that plan set. Once you receive your plan set, you'll have an opportunity to review it. And if you do need any changes to it, you can go ahead and request those. Another thing that you can do once you receive your completed plan set is you can request engineering stamps. Now, Aurora provides 2 types of engineering stamps, structural and electrical. That's going to be an additional 24 hours to receive those. And you're basically going to need to request that in app. You'll see basically there's a button that shows up and you say request engineering stamps. You select which ones that you want. Need to provide a little bit more information about the home, just because we're going into a little bit more detail. And then you should expect to receive that stamped plan set within another 24 hours. And to kind of show what that final package looks like, I actually do have an example plan set right here. This is just a very high level overview, but you can see here, we've got our cover page with general notes. We can see the vicinity map, and it's giving us a breakdown of what's included. You'll also see that we do have a PE stamp right here. This one was in the state of Texas. And just to kind of quickly scroll through this, you'll see we've got kind of our site overview. It's showing us the property dimensions and the actual land parcel right there. You can see we've got our attachment plan. We've got our structural plan. Each one of these pages is stamped as well. You can see our balance of system equipment right here. Then we get to our electrical 3-line diagram right here. We also have our electrical load calculations as well. Then we get to our labels and warnings and placards. Next up, and then we'll include spec sheets for the types of the modules and the equipment that's being utilized in this design. Keep moving on. Then we get to our racking and clamping. And so this is what a completed package is going to go ahead and look like for you. And I think the thing to call out here too is that any one of these pages that needs to be stamped will be stamped by one of the professional engineers that Aurora utilizes. So that's pretty much the process when it comes to streamlining your post-sales motion. One, utilizing EagleView powered models to create and craft the most accurate 3-dimensional models for your system design. 2, leveraging the racking partner apps that we have a connection with. And then 3, going ahead and using that plan set service, filling out the intake form, and again, making sure that when you're conducting your site surveys, that you're able to capture all the relevant details for that intake form.